Live, live, live. What's up, friends?
I don't know if we're there yet. There's a little bit of a delay. It doesn't setting up webinar, but I know we're actually live while it says that because I'm always saying things I don't want people to hear, and then I realize it's on the replay. Boom! There we go.
Boom.
Let's give it a minute. Let me get
What's up, friends? If you're watching, let us know where you're tuning in from.
Yeah, let me hit a gallery view here. As you all drop in here, let me make a little announcement. Let me tell the ManyChat list that we're jamming today.
What's up, Jody? What's the weather like on the West Coast?
Are you on my ManyChat list?
Me?
Yeah.
Probably. I'm on ClearMind for sure because I get that every Sunday. And every Sunday I'm like, I don't have time. I should be watching this, but I don't have time.
ClearMind's awesome. We just jam. That's actually one of the things. Sunday night, I'm always like, that's always when I don't have time because I'm like recharging.
Yeah.
And
likewise.
And I force myself to do ClearMind, and my week is better because of it. But I can't opt out of it, you know.
That's accountability at its finest when you're the host. We have a feud going on in the comments between Jody and Daryl disagreeing on the weather.
Fight.
Hey, you guys should hop on the Zoom link.
Yeah, get on here so we can get some good conversation. I'm just trying to invite some people real quick. Join. I'm doing more ManyChat stuff, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I actually get way higher open rate, but I get a better conversion on email still.
Okay, so if you're tuning in and you've seen a past Social Proof Wednesday, post in Facebook one thing you've implemented. Because if you're not implementing any of this stuff, I'm not sure there's value in us continuing this.
Yep. Biggest thing we talk about at the last event and really anywhere I go is this thing called the intention intervention gap. The things you know you should be doing and intend to do, and the things you're actually doing. And if you watch these things, which is like, on one hand, I kind of want you to binge watch my stuff so I can sell you more stuff. But on the other hand, if you binge watch these things and you start collecting greater knowledge about what you should be doing, but you don't implement, this gap gets wider.
Mm-hmm.
And that gap is stress and anxiety. And sometimes it gets so wide that we don't even know what to do anymore. We won't even try.
Yep.
So what have you been implementing? That is a great question. I'll tell you ours. I actually talked about it in retention referrals and raving fans. In the masterclass I'm teaching live is.
By the way, I'm super jealous I'm not in there. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was like, man, should have signed up.
I know. I'll give you you're in the network, so I'll give you the replays. But I do talk about I give you guys credit, don't worry, but I talk about the capturing the wins at every stage.
Yeah.
And getting them to articulate that it's a win, why it's a win, yada, yada, yada. And we've been doing that. I've been doing it in my masterclass. And when I'm doing the masterclass, I'm teaching people what I'm doing and why I'm doing it as I teach masterclass. It's really cool. But that's what we've done.
Well, I know Jody and Daryl have been like full steam ahead on their new offer. So they have a little bit of leeway in not implementing too much, but now's the time, guys, when your offer is still new.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's one of the things I get asked is so like an offer like yours or like ours, which is a little more sophisticated. It's like, well, when's the right time? At what revenue number should I start doing this? And the answer is immediately.
Yeah, there's no better time.
Yep.
I mean, everyone uses the planted tree metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
There's no better time, but it's true. Looks like Ali hopped on. It's awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Yeah, we're so let me
Got some creepers who aren't commenting, so I'm just going to. Oh, there we go. They're Jody and Daryl. Looks like they're hopping into Zoom.
Yep. If you are in the vault and you don't have the Zoom link, you can shoot me a message. I think our Zoom link expired. So if you shoot me a private message, I will invite you to this conversation. Because after we go dark on Facebook, sometimes we just jam on some personal stuff and custom stuff. But what I'm going to do is, for the people that don't know, my primary role in all my companies and with all my clients is to give perspective and help them identify the thing they should be focusing on. And then find the experts like Justin here to help them resolve whatever issue or remove whatever limit. Now, Justin has won multiple Emmys. That's my favorite thing to say about you, because it's just so impressive. With his ability, I think
at this point they're just paperweight.
But it's a testament to, one, your ability. It's video, right? You won them with video and storytelling. And the way that he looks at social proof, him and his wife, and Michelle is the one that I think keeps everything organized and in line. If you listen to what Justin has to say, and you lay out your whole business, you look at all these touch points and you start implementing them, there's this multiplicative effect, right? If you could tell stories to get people on a webinar, and then tell stories to get them to fill out an application, then tell stories to give them a phone call, right? If you increase each conversion point by like 4%, you tell stories to get them to refer 4% more people, you tell stories to get them to stay 4% longer, you end up doubling, tripling, quadrupling your revenue without doubling, tripling, quadrupling your ad spend, right? So anytime Justin talks, I listen. I do my best to take the concept and extrapolate it out, because they're sound, fundamental, not just business concepts, but like human behavior concepts. So again, if you are in the vault and you want to join this private convo, I strongly suggest you do. If you are not, then I strongly suggest you drop questions when they come up in the comments, and listen to what Justin has to say and start applying it.
Well, hey, thanks for the intro. Okay, so today I've got some slides. I'm going back to the OG Social Proof Wednesdays, bringing slides back.
Yes.
I pulled this right out of our program, the Accelerator, Social Proof Accelerator, so you'll see exactly one of the things we talk about in it. And it kind of bridges a little bit of the things that we've been talking about historically throughout all these Social Proof Wednesdays. And so I'm going to share my screen. You can see it. Actually, wait a sec.
I still see your face.
Yeah.
There it is.
Boom. Okay, if you're watching Facebook or Zoom, let me know you can see the screen. What's up, Maggie? Thanks for hopping on.
Maggie's back.
Daryl sees it. Okay. You're on Zoom, so you get like a little bit of the sneak peek. Okay, this is everyone says story sell. I'm sure there's an internet marketing program around this topic that has that exact title. So it's nothing new. We recognize it. The things that we've been talking about, though, is like, how do you actually take that and turn it into, so how do you take a story and turn it into something that people can consume and then be affected by, and then ultimately take the next step in your sales process? And so I have one example that I'm going to show you today of a company that just kind of kills the concept of how do you capture client, well, in this case, they're customer stories because it's like a SaaS product, but how do you capture a longer form story, but then turn it into something that is immediately consumable? That's how I would describe it. Because at the end of the day, you can have these tank pages or whatever that are just super long, or these long form stories, and we're a fan of those. But if I can't quickly digest the thing that I need to digest, I'm going to move on to the next thing. And that next thing may be the X on the browser or the next tab. So today we're going to talk about, or I'm going to show you one example of, and talk about kind of the things that are happening behind the scenes in it. So if you haven't read the book, Winning the Story Wars, it's by Jonah Sachs. Again, Winning the Story Wars. It's a simple read. It's 7 or 8 years old now, I suppose. It's just a really good book on using stories to sell. It's a good book on how stories actually drive people to take action, whether that's from a political standpoint. He talks about like using story in politics, to consumerism, using stories to get people to buy things. And so it's a simple read. Maggie, you caught my eye with storytelling. It's true, right? That's the power of it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we humans love stories. It's kind of baked into who we are. And so when people use that word, we're like, what? Let's pay attention to this. And so the whole concept of the book is that stories allow people to feel that they've experienced things that they've only seen or heard. It's kind of the concept we've talked about earlier, narrative transportation. So you're reading a book or you're watching a movie and all of a sudden you feel like the character in it. You feel like we just watched the latest Spider-Man. It's like when he's going through intense situations, like your hands start to sweat and you're like, oh no, like I don't want to die, even though you're watching a movie. Like that's the power of stories, right? So how do you take that and turn it into a selling mechanism, basically, is what we're talking about today. And so really quickly, this is where a lot of people miss the mark on their social proof. And whether this is something you're posting on your Facebook wall, whether this is a screenshot, this is where I see it all the time, is screenshots. Whether it's something on your testimonial page or tank page or whatever, it's the quick blurbs that are just fact driven, not story driven, that for us as the business owner, the person helping someone achieve these results, like we get really proud of, but they don't actually land. They don't connect with the people that we want them to connect with when we're using them. So for example, is like my first $100,000 month, follow the process, show up, do the work, can't thank blah, blah, blah enough, right? That sounds great. It would feel great to us to help our client get to $100,000 a month if that was our offer. But someone sitting on the sidelines is not really going to resonate with that. Or some company filled my calendar with, these are actually ones that I was just scrolling through Facebook one day, just copying people's proof. And these are the examples. I'm no longer self-sabotaging myself. My new project is off the ground. I've already got 2 clients. Again, sounds good to say. Would be great if we were a mindset coach to get that from someone to like know that we're making an impact, but recognize that's not necessarily going to have the same effect on the people that are seeing it, who need what you offer and need you to help them. And so what's up, Alex? Great to see you, man. And here's why. Ultimately, those are facts. Facts don't connect, right? Nick, what was the last fact you remember learning?
I don't even know.
I'm sure you learned something today that was a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably did, but I have no idea what it was. They're just not memorable.
Nope.
And so kind of a good filter that we use is like, when was the last time you went out to coffee or lunch or dinner with a friend and you just like shared facts back and forth with each other? Like, would that be a very lively conversation? Would you remember anything about that interaction? No, you wouldn't.
That's why academics are so boring.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And so the reality is because facts don't have any impacts on our lives. It's like they are what they are, but they don't really impact our lives in any measurable way. And so I'm going to flip it and say, Nick, what was the last story you remember hearing?
Oh man, I was just in Reno at the Tesla factory, the Gigafactory, and I went to the Bunny Ranch. So I could go all day with
share those stories.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. No, yeah. The people that I spend the most time with, I trust the most are like Jeff, right? Jeff Moore. Tremendous
stories all the time. Exactly. Everything's a story, right?
Tremendous storyteller, and that makes him a great teacher, and that makes him a great trusted advisor.
1000%. And so I'm going to say the same question, right? When was the last time you went to a friend for coffee just to share stories? Like it literally happens every single day. Like Michelle and I go get coffee pretty much every day, and we're talking about stories, things that have happened to us, things that we've seen happen to other people. And we're just literally swapping stories. That's our like collective experience with each other. And I would say that there is probably a story that every single person that is watching this right now, there is a story that either happened to you or you read or you watched or you consumed that has put you on the path that you are currently on with your business, right? I have a story about why we got started with Social Proof. right? And so I'm willing to bet that there is a story, right? And people could say it's your genesis story or origin story or whatever. But the fact of the matter is there are stories out there that are having impacts on your life. And wouldn't it be awesome if we could be the ones that are sharing stories to have impact on other people's lives as well? And so this is the concept that I talked about with Jonas Sachs. It's just the concept of like narrative transportation. This is like really nerdy stuff. You can Google it. There's all this like Psych Today and Psychology Now and all these papers and stuff on it. I pulled out just a little blurb from a recap of a study from Ohio State. And it says, we tend to believe the story more readily than we would believe a non-narrative account. This is because our brains actually process narratives differently. When we're talking in straight information, we're paying critical attention to the message, reaching back for our own existing knowledge and opinions. So this is facts, right? And analyzing what we're hearing. When we're transformed by the narrative, however, our single focus is on the story. We absorb it entirely without pausing to deconstruct or doubt what we're hearing. So the context is, let's say you're watching an interview. All these people are doing these Zoom client interview, right? Whether you call it an exit interview or a client success interview, whatever, everyone's doing it, from the big wigs, the big gurus, to people just getting started. And so if you're following a question flow that's not story based, what you end up doing is just kind of like spewing facts. And so when that's happening, our brain is automatically just thinking like, that can't be true. He's bullshitting. That's fake. There's no way he did that much money. There's no way he has that many clients. There's no way he drives that car. There's no way that she went from $0 to $1 million in 6 weeks. Like, that's impossible, right? That's like a fact-based conversation where like literally the entire time we're doing this, we're just analyzing these and saying, nope, fake, 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 fake. If you change it up into a story-based flow, story-based conversation, and we'll get to a little bit of the nuance in it. All of a sudden, I'm no longer in my brain thinking bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I'm thinking, this is possible for me. I could do this. Wait a minute. There's people out there living the thing that I want to live. Like, I can do this. Like, and so that's part of, in last week's Social Proof Wednesday, we talked about these long form interviews being the last thing that you send someone. We talk about these interviews being the least desirable social proof asset. Because the chances of someone actually consuming the things that they need to consume in that is very small. But if they're on the fence, they're on the edge, they're just about to take the leap, a relevant story at that time can be super powerful to getting someone to sign up to your program or hire you for your services or whatever it is. But those are long, right? And so what I want to show today and just kind of break down at a very like high level is kind of a shorter version of it, and how you can take this concept of a bit of a story and inject it into, maybe something a little bit more consumable, bite-sizable, something that's just a more easily used in today's, social proof economy of very short attention spans. And so I may actually I may close the window because there's people out there, but I should be okay. Okay, so here's the example I'm going to use. And it's from You Need a Budget. If you have heard of them, it's an app. I think they have a web app as well, but it's basically for people who want to put their money to work. So how this came about is we had extra money and we're just like, hey, what should we just leave it in our savings account? Should we put it in a high interest savings account? Should it go into our children's savings account? Should it go blah, blah, blah. And so I was literally like, well, let's look at the budgeting apps that are out there. And we loaded up the old Google's, searched, and You Need a Budget came first. Click on it. It opened up the app in my phone. And this was literally the very first thing that I encountered after downloading their app. And I was immediately like, whoa, stop, screenshot, scroll, screenshot. Like, this is what I do. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago on Social Proof Wednesday. When I see companies doing this well, I've obviously immediately take my camera out or whatever and take pictures. Let's see. Got a little dark in here. There we go. And so this is You Need a Budget. And so we're going to talk about how they're using stories in these little short blurbs. What's up, Seth? And Lily, what's up? And so the very first thing we're going to do is allow people to self-identify. We talked about this in, I think, maybe Social Proof Wednesday, the first one or the second one. But basically, you want people to do two things when they read your stories, go to your testimonial page, whatever it is, and it's either see themselves or not see themselves. You don't want to leave it up to chance. So ideally, you're putting markers out there that allow people to see themselves in the stories that you are sharing. And so whoever you serve, whatever they look like, sound like, things they buy, the decisions they make, like it could be business, like service provider, coach, consultant. It could be gender. It could be location, like whatever you like, however you like, I would say like the buckets of your clients. Give people a very quick way to self-identify. And so in this example, we have couples, we have women, we have men, we have pictures, we have names to show like couples or individuals. And so really quickly scrolling through this this app, and remember, I downloaded this app, but I haven't like created my account or anything like that. So I'm literally just like scrolling left to right through these stories, and immediately I need to be able to see, like, is someone like me using You Need a Budget? Because if they are, I'm very likely to finish this little application that says try YNAB for free. If I don't, I'm going to close it, because if they don't help people like me, I'm not going to waste my time, right? And so in this case, they're making it very easier for people to self-identify through the pictures and through kind of like the monikers and naming conventions. Next thing, they're sharing the before. So in these stories, by the way, if you can you read these? Just let me know. And
let me see on Facebook. I got a giant Zoom.
If not, I will read some of them. I'm not sure if you can read them.
Let us know if you can read it, because I'm cheating. I have a giant screen.
Jody says can sort of read. You're on Zoom. I wonder if that probably higher quality, right?
Yeah, Zoom's going to be a little bit clearer.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll read the first couple. So the first one says, in just 2 years, I paid off $22,000 in debt. By the time I discovered You Need a Budget, I had over $30,000 in consumer debt. Now I know that I can stop adding to the debt, and I can even pay it off. Erin, and she says, you Need a Budget user since 2016, I think. It's really small on my screen now too. Next one, I paid off my car, not on Facebook, Michael. Okay, so I'm going to read some of this. The next one is, I paid off my car in just under 2 years. I purchased an expensive vehicle, right? Expensive vehicle, self-identify. After 1 year and 9 months, this sweet blue baby is completely, totally 100% mine. Amanda, You Need a Budget user since 2016. How awesome would it be to go buy an expensive car and pay it off in 2 years? Well, most people are going and leasing or financing vehicles for 5, 6, 7 years and just paying astronomical interest rates. Next one, we paid off $35,000 in 3.5 years. You Need a Budget gave me the freedom to switch careers, huge. And my husband and I don't panic when a new expense comes up. Bailey and Andy. Next one, we paid off $33,000 in 14 months. We felt defeated by the lack of success in any previous budgeting endeavors. You Need a Budget makes money exciting. We feel empowered. Alicia, and Brandon. So those are like the little 4 stories that I captured. And there's more, right? You swipe and there's things like 10 in total. And so in these stories, we're not only allowing people to self-identify, but we're showing the before. So $22,000 in debt, just bought a fancy new car. We had $35,000 in debt. We had $33,000 in debt. So if I'm loading, again, context, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with Marshall McLuhan, the medium is message, like it's not just what's being said, it's all these things, but it's also the context. And so if I'm loading this app, do I see myself visually? And then do I see myself in the stories? So do I have debt, right? And so if I've got $22,000 of debt, or if I've got a new car that I just bought, if I've got a house that I'm saving for, like whatever it is, if I see myself in that, I'm far more likely to click that button that says try this application for free. If I don't, if I'm loading up this app and I have no debt and I want to learn about like investing for the future, and I don't see any stories there, then I'm not going to click through. I'm just going to close it and go download Robinhood or something like that, right? Or whatever. And so there's self-identify, there's the before, there's during. So they're not saying that overnight I paid off $22,000 in debt. This is the problem that I think a lot of social proof in the internet marketing space can do, is that it makes things too easy. It makes things, It makes like, hey, if I buy Nick's program, I'm going to get the result in 2 weeks. If I buy Nick's program, I'm going to be a millionaire in a month. Like that's not reality. And so what ends up happening is you have clients that come on board, their expectations are out of whack. They don't get the results that they're expecting. Even if they get the results that you are promising, there's a disconnect, right? We talked about making sure that one of the first questions you ask your clients is like, what does success look like to you? And then making sure that you have markers that you check in. It's the same thing with this. In this little blurb, you are seeing it takes time to pay off debt, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It takes time to take that, to go buy a fancy new car and make sure that it's paid off. It takes time to pay off whatever it is, the 14 months, to pay off $33,000 in debt. So they're showing the before. There's a struggle. It's not going to be easy. And then the after. And so the after isn't just, hey, I paid off my debt, right? The after are the words where they're saying, we feel empowered, right? No longer when unexpected expenses come up, do we panic? That's the after. And so the thing that we talk about in the accelerator is, for a lot of people, it's like the thing behind the thing that actually matters. Mm-hmm. So if I join Nick's program because Nick is going to help me, make $1 million, like that's the thing. What's the thing behind the thing? What is that $1 million going to allow me to do? What is the process of working with Nick going to do for my life? What is it going to do for my family? What is it going to do for my spouse, for my children, for my children's children? Like whatever it is, you have to figure that out. And so in this case, they're literally saying the thing behind the thing. We don't panic when money comes up. We feel more empowered. The one where it's like, well, we got a car, that's a little bit like the thing. There's not really a thing behind that. But there is something about being able to go buy something expensive, like a brand new car, and knowing that it's not a debt that's hanging over you, right? Like that's very empowering. As someone who just bought a new car, like it's nice to know, like, hey, we don't own money on that car, it's ours. Like that's a good feeling. And so ultimately what this is literally like, I don't even know how many words are in each of those, maybe like 75, but they're little compact stories. And the thing that's awesome is right before the call to action button, it says, start your own success story. Everyone's using these call to action buttons, like give me the cheat sheet, click here to get started. Like those are fine. But like, what is the next step that they're going to do in your sales process? And ultimately you need a budget. They're literally saying like, this is possible. It's possible for you. Take the next step. And so they're literally using the power of story in like, whatever it is, like 50 words. And so I shared that because you can go deeper, you can go wider, you can go like way more in depth. You can have long form stories, all these things. But at the end of the day, if you can take that, condense it, and still have something very powerful, like you're onto something, because now you can inject those throughout your entire sales process, whether it's your webinar, whether it's your scheduler page, whether it's your onboarding, right? It's a huge missed opportunity where people don't necessarily use stories in their onboarding materials. And so if you have these little bites, then what's cool is not only do you have them placed, but now you can verbalize them, right? And they just become part of your teaching, because you're literally just teaching through stories. You're being able to recall like, oh, this person, Erin, you're just like Erin. In 2 years, she paid off $22,000 of debt. Like you're year one, you've gotten $10,000 off your debt. Like, let's keep going, because in year two, you're going to get that remaining $12,000 off. And so really quickly, this is kind of like the simple story structure. And there's tons of stuff on this. Like just the simplest thing is like, go Google like Pixar story. Like there's tons of free education on that. And a ton of time studying story and having a former business partner who was like just obsessed with it. You can go deep, but at the end of the day, I'm imagining everyone listening or watching to this doesn't really want to become a professional storyteller, but we do want to use the power of story to inspire, whether it's people to work with us or inspire our clients to get results. And so it's really quickly just 4 things. The first thing is you just want to allow people to self-identify as quickly as possible. And we have kind of a thing that we talk about, which is like a litmus test. Like, can people raise their hand quickly? Like if they can raise their hand very quickly and be like, that's me, then you've allowed people to self-identify. If not, you're just leaving too much up to chance. And in my experience, just like buying programs and scrolling through Facebook and being on LinkedIn, like there's just a lot of opportunities where really great client results are not being consumed or digested because it's just too vague. I don't see myself in them. And if I don't see myself in them, then people like me wouldn't see themselves in those results as well. The first thing, it has to speak to their current situation. So if you're just talking about that $100,000 a month and there's nothing before, then I don't have anything to latch onto, because for all I know, you had a $90,000 a month before. For all I know, you have parents that bought this program for you. For all I know, you have this unfair advantage that I just don't have. And so again, logical brain kicks in, and all I start doing is just BS meter. Like, how many times have you seen a screenshot and you're just like, that's bullshit? It could very well have been absolutely true, but there's something missing. And usually it's like the current situation. Give me the backstory. Next one, you got to bridge the gap between the current and desired reality. And that's kind of conflict. And the thing is, like, without conflict, there's literally there's no story. Like, that's the end of the day. And so in the case of You Need a Budget, the conflict is literally just like, it took 2 years, it took 4 years, it took time to pay this thing off. Like, that's conflict. There's a little bit of like, oh crap, I'm in for a ride. And so if your social proof is all just like wins, 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 but there's no struggle, don't believe it. Or I just know that it's just too good to be true, because life isn't like that. Literally everything you do in life has a struggle, or anything worth doing has a struggle. So just be clear about that. Like, what is the struggle? Even if that means in the stories you're collecting of your clients, you're saying like, it took 4 weeks for this to really click in. It took 6 months before I actually landed that client that I wanted to land. But after that, I'm off to the races, right? Like, don't forget that people need conflict. And then it speaks to their desired outcome, which is the thing behind the thing. So don't just latch onto the money side of things, because if you look at like the hierarchy of needs, like money for a lot of people is very low. Like, if you're marketing that I can make money, I'm not interested in your program. But if you want to talk to me about like time, if you want to talk to me about more time with my kids, if you want to talk to me about like how I can actually improve my life, well, then let's talk, because money doesn't really matter. I'm not motivated by money. And most of the people aren't motivated by money. Like, that's just, some people are, most people aren't, especially once you have a certain amount of money. Money no longer matters. So what's next? Right? What's the thing behind the thing? If you're getting value from this also, like I'm not, like, just let me know, like a heart, a comment, something. And we're going to get to questions in a second.
Yep.
And so ultimately, if you, another book is like Donald Miller's, Building a Story Brand. He's got a whole workshop series. Check it out. Again, he talks about how to use stories in marketing. And so there's something he says, which we've said since kind of the beginning, is like, your clients are the heroes, which I think there shouldn't be an E there. I'm not sure. It's a weird word, heroes. So I'm gonna have to spell check that. And so just to be really clear, there's a lot of social proof out there that's like the business is coming across as the savior, like the hero. And like, we're not. Like, if we want our social proof to connect, it has to be about the person. Like, we can be the guide, we can be the person that's helping, but it's not about us. And so if you're out there taking a screenshot, which is what I see, right? You take a screenshot and then you put a caption above, which you talk about, that's a frame you control. Just make sure that the frame isn't like patting your own back, right? It's about celebrating your clients. And if you do that, then people listen. If it's about patting your own back, then people are like, this dude is just like stroking his own ego. I'm not interested in this. And they zone out. So it's a really simple like test. And so if you look at this example with You Need a Budget, I mean, like, there's very few we's and You Need a Budget, and there's a lot of I's, right? And so they're basically saying like, these people are capable of doing this. Sure, they need our help, but ultimately, intrinsically, like, they're able to do this. And that's kind of how you want your stories to feel as well. Like, your clients are doing it themselves. Like, they had it within them. You may have unlocked something. You may have given them the shorter path. You may have given them an unfair advantage, and those are all fine. But at the end of the day, it was your client that was stuck, and now they're unstuck. And because what you want is, you want to be appealing to the people who are still currently stuck and show them that, hey, this is possible. It's in you. You can do this. I'm here to help. And so it's kind of, this is the thing we talked about earlier. It's the, hey, that's me. And so remember, what do your clients actually want? Ask them, right? When you onboard a client, ask them, like, be like super clear on what it is. And if they're like, if it's the thing, right? I want to make more money. I want more clients. I want, like, get to the, so what? Like, literally just say, so what? Right? That's the thing I say to people all the time. Like, I want this. Okay. So what? Answer that. So what? You hear this all the time, right? The so what filter or the why filter. It's the same thing. Get to the thing behind the thing. And remember, it's not about you, it's about your clients. So all your stories, all your social proof, like it's not about you. You matter, but they matter more. So just keep that in mind. That's it. Always end. What questions do you have?
Awesome. So first of all, are you rebuilding your course right now?
Yes. Okay. It's going to be significantly easier to implement. We went really deep on the system, which a lot of people loved. But if you're a solopreneur, if you don't have a team, if you like just have a lot of things to manage, the version 2, which you kind of get both, but the version 2 is basically designed as like, how do you implement this concept with the least amount of effort put in? And so that's what we're doing right now.
Awesome. What's the price point on that? What's that going to be?
TBD, somewhere in the $400-$500 range.
Awesome. If you want a discount on that, speaking for Justin here, if you want a discount on that, reach out to Justin and say, hey, let me know as soon as you launch, and I'll convince him to give a little discount for anybody that is here right now. And Q&A. Do you have any questions? If nobody in the group has questions, we'll go private and we'll talk to the people on the Zoom.
Yeah, we had a great turnout today. Thanks for everybody for listening in.
Yeah, awesome. Good engagement. We'll give it, because there's a little bit of a lag here. Oh, here we go. I'm co-authoring a book. Somebody my piece. I couldn't think of a story framework to share. It's 1,500 words in length. How much of it should I be creating a story? The entire thing, or just a paragraph or two?
I'm not an author, so I'm gonna bow out of that perspective. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we teach, like, the story concept can be applied to long form or short form, right? The same principles apply. Usually the longer the story, the more conflict. So if you're watching, like, I'm going to use Spider-Man, but if you're watching Spider-Man, it's not like there's this one epic thing, right? There's like this constant ebb and flow. And so I necessarily don't know for an actual book.
I'll give you, in my experience, Robert Greene is a great example. His books are thick. It is.
Those are audiobooks for me.
Yeah.
It's like Principles by Ray Dalio. Like, I just can't read it. Like, I have to listen to it.
Yep. I love reading it. I like it. I'm like masochist, but for me, what Robert Greene does is it's like 40 pages of story. And then he just says interpretation, and it's maybe a half page of what it means.
Yep.
Bob Berg did something similar. He wrote The Go-Giver, or something like that. And it was one giant story with no interpretation. And then he had to write a second book, Go Giver, Sell More, that was the interpretation. And it was much shorter. So
Jody just said, Alex, you should introduce Maggie to, I think, Carissa. I think is who Jody was talking about.
Carissa McGrath, I think, is this is exactly what she does. She teaches people how to write books.
Yeah, that's cool.
But my preference is a story or two, and then just again, he just says interpretation. Boom, couple paragraphs interpreting what the stories mean.
Because ultimately, you'll. I think Tim Ferriss did this in like one of his books, where he's like, "Here's the science. Skip the science if you don't care about it. Here's the things that actually matter." Yep. And you're basically appealing to the different types of learners, right? And there's people that like, I need the story so that I can contextualize this, put this into reality. And some people are like, that's fluff. Just tell me the facts. And that's kind of like what we're talking about with the stories is like, if you can take a longer form story and just get to like some of the facts, but not just facts, that's the disconnect, right? Like, you're still showing conflict. You're still showing the before, the after, like you're still taking people through that journey. That's the power.
Yep.
Alex, I call it the meaning. What's the meaning of the thing they want to them? I want 50K. What does having 50K mean to you? It's awesome.
Yep. That's the
it's surprising how few people, like, the programs that we've purchased, they're pretty diverse. Like, it's surprising how much we are kind of left to fend for ourselves on coming up with, like, was this worth it? Like, that question, like, did this provide value? the investment that I just made, did I get a return on it? And not just like money, right? But actually like a return. And so we just bought like a Facebook ads program, Amanda Bonds, the strategy system or whatever. And it's cool because like the first thing she says is like, or first thing she does is like, there's like an intake survey. And part of that is literally like defining your goals for this program. And my hope is that someone on our team is reading it. I don't know. But at the very least, like me or Michelle or whoever buys that program, like verbalizing, like, here are the things that I'm hoping to get out of it. Like, at least then she knows, like, okay, I need to be catering the program to these types of things if I'm not already. And more importantly, for the social proof side of things, like I have a metric to be able to check in on when people are hitting these things, so I can start capturing stories of people actually achieving the thing that they wanted to achieve out of this program.
The other side, yeah. Daryl just mentioned another book. There are books that are just 100% like story, like parable. And I think they're effective. It doesn't I think the thing is, right, like stories sell, emotions sell, and then we always go back and justify the purchase with facts and figures and stuff, you know. But at the end of the day, I think it's the story. I really like The Richest Man in Babylon, which is also 100% story as well. Awesome.
That to be a fun conversation. Books. I need Audible credits, so keep listing them. Jeez.
Yeah, this will be the thread we go to when somebody asks for a reading suggestion. I'll just link them here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. So when you have your current course now,
I think Michelle and I were just talking about maybe launching with like a challenge or something, just like getting people in the mindset of this. I don't know what it would be. We talked about like 5-day 5-star review challenge or something where it's like focused on that. Who knows about what it's actually going to be called, but that's something I think we're going to kick up before the program starts.
Awesome. So if you're listening,
doesn't need to take a lot of time. That's the other thing. It's like, if you're putting some time into gathering client stories, chances are you can, and you're putting a lot of time into marketing, whether that's organic or ads or whatever. It's like a lot of that attention can actually be just directed to stories, because like coming up with like new organic posts is consuming. It's great, sure, but it's super consuming. And like what's not consuming is just using the stories of your clients. Like all of a sudden ideas literally like pop up, and all of a sudden, you know, that long form organic post gets kind of written in a very, very short amount of time. And so that's something we're considering as well.
Yep. Awesome. And that's something that obviously you guys will all be aware of. If you're watching, you can drop a comment here and just say, hey, I'm in or whatever, so that whatever they do decide to do, they can circle back to this post and give you guys access. Stories are going to make your content stick. Yep. Yeah, guys, I strongly recommend you, if you caught on late, go back, watch from the beginning. And then these are some of the most useful, actionable comment threads I've seen. So I recommend you hit the little expand button and just start reading through the comments. There's great suggestions here from just really smart people.
Yeah, I would say just like give everyone here a follow. Like go to their personal pages, because everyone here is awesome. So
yeah, got an awesome community. Cool. So what we'll do is we'll go dark from Facebook. We'll spend 2 or 3 minutes with people that are on the Zoom, unless they have something more extensive.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to be notified, I notified people today. If you want to be notified when we go live, it's every Wednesday at the same time. And all of these replays will eventually be taken off of the group and uploaded into the vault. But for now, I would search the group Social Proof Wednesday. You can actually search posts by me, because this post is by me. So if you search Social Proof Wednesday and go to source, type in my name, you could just binge watch the last couple weeks. It's all incredible stuff. So
there's good stuff in there. Like there's,
yeah. I just talked about, I'm going to get it all transcribed. So if you're a reader, we'll get it transcribed and cleaned up, put that in the vault. So if you want to sit back and read this stuff, you could do that as well, but then you're going to miss the cool PowerPoints. So, all right, we're going to go dark for Facebook.
Hey, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.